and A24 was in the house that night, you know, and they saw the film and responded to it. And, you know, they were very...
How did you get A24 interested in the movie?
What's kind of crazy is that I met with A24 almost 8 years ago when I first discovered the project. We were just having a general meeting and I was telling them about the film, and one of the heads of film there, Noah Sacco, he just was like, you know, prison is ripe for a cinematic upheaval. And I like never forgot that, you know, that became like, and of course, like I was like, well, so are we gonna make it? And it's like, well, let's see what you can come up with, you know. And it was still very early, it's a nascent idea. And let me also say, they weren't part of the people who were trying to make it conform, you know, to stereotypes. Just even the act of saying that prison is ripe for cinematic upheaval means he and his other colleague were seeing this potency and beauty that we saw, you know. But all these years later, we just had to make the film, you know, and put the proof in the pudding. And the movie premiered at Toronto International Film Festival last September, and A24 was in the house that night, you know, and they saw the film and responded to it. And, you know, they were very personal around how the movie touched each of them as humans, which really spoke to us when we were hearing their pitch, because there were others, you know, at the table, and it was a bit competitive, and they were also just very bold with their vision that they saw, you know, and I really respond to people who are hungry like that and bold, but also compassionate.
What advice do you have for filmmakers whose goal it is to have an A24 movie?
You can't, you know, it's like, we have a scene in Jockey where these wild horses show up on this river, and we knew that there were wild horses in this area, but you can't make them show up, you know. You just have to do the work and be in a place where they might be able to arrive. And I think it's like, I don't think anything we should do should be based on and fixated on the result itself. You know, it's about a focus on doing good work in the process. And you might be surprised who shows up to join you in that. Maybe that is A24, maybe that's another partner, maybe that's, you know, self-distribution and being out on the road yourself and four-walling theaters and the kind of whatever it takes to find an audience. You know, you can't kind of, you can't grip onto that end game too hard. You know, I remember this quote from reading Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, like right when I was finishing college, which is the time when most people read that book, you know, when they're thinking very existentially. And I was traveling through Mexico. I you know, wasn't totally sure I was going to be a filmmaker, and I read this piece that I think maybe speaks to what I'm trying to say, which is that to live for some distant future goal is shallow. It's the size of a mountain that sustains life, not the top.
Does A24 have any involvement in getting Sing Sing screened in some of the prisons that you plan to show it in?
Yes, and that vision, though, was really birthed by our alumni themselves. You know, they're the ones driving a vision for the impact that they hope to see. And a big thing at the core of that is that our alumni don't want to see one of the most essential audiences for this movie overlooked, you know, and that's incarcerated people. And so, yeah, you know, we've already had a premiere of the movie inside of Sing Sing. And in October, we're one of the centerpiece films for the first ever film festival inside of a prison at San Quentin. And beyond that, we're already fielding a lot of interest to screen in prisons all over the country. And we don't want to just screen it. We want to create opportunities for alumni to be there in the room for those screenings, to be able to sit and speak directly to these men and say, you know, keep doing the work. You know, there is a life outside of this for you that's waiting, that can be beautiful. The world needs you. Come home, do what it takes, and within that, create access to broader imagination for ideas of how someone can see themselves and where they can grow into, and hopefully that follows with more access to programs like this. We want to see programs like this multiply, you know, all over the country. It doesn't just have to be theater, you know, like there are so many tools, whether that's a rescue dog program or creative writing or debate or running a marathon or any of these things that can just help us reconnect with each other and find, you know, the capacity for healing.
Yeah, and I think it's so important too, and I'm wondering what some of the feedback is. I remember as a young person being shown Scared Straight and being felt sort of shamed watching that, and nothing against that for the filmmakers, but just there wasn't a human element. It was, right, this is bad, you're bad, and this is what's going to happen to you if you continue down this path. And so what's some of the feedback you've received after people have watched it?
From that are incarcerated?
Correct, yeah.
I think one, that it was honest, you know, and that was something very important to us, that it rang true, you know, and not just like factually and how the sets are, you know, the design of any, you know, thing or the wardrobe, but rang true on like a deeper emotional plane. And that a lot of our audiences have felt encouraged, you know, and see the success I think they see is that they see men who have traveled some of those same corridors. The fact that they're up on that screen in and of itself shows that sort of, you know, something really beautiful is possible.